Anatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshulamitanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Guruve Gauda Chandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Anupeta Apeta Krityam Rapaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tan Maitaya Taravo Binedus Tam Savabhutam Hridayam Munimanatusmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Bhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshai Kiptashtakamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitram Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanada Vindam Tavevasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vidyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we're going to continue hearing the Sri Bhajana Rahasya by our exalted Sri Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and we begin by offering our most humble obeisance to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, to our beloved Gurus, Sri Guru Pada Padmanitya Leda Bhavishta Om Vishnu Padasto Tatsat Sri Simad Abhaya Charanada Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, and unto Sri Guru Pada Padmanitya Leda Bhavishta Om Vishnu Padasto Tatsat Sri Simad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and to all the exalted Rupanuga Guru Varga. So, if you scroll up a little bit on the wall of our Discord, you'll see that I posted this chart in case you don't have it. And you can make it larger. It makes it really helpful to understand each chapter, what's being said, all the different things relating to. For instance, I can't read this because it's too dark here. At any rate, you can read it. We'll begin with the second chapter now, second yam, and text 1. Bhaktivinoda Thakur begins by saying, there is no consideration of proper or improper time in regard to chanting the Lord's holy names, which are fully endowed with all potencies. This is described in the second verse of Shikshashtaka. First chapter was the first verse, right? The 7 excellent results of chanting. We heard many authoritative statements from different scriptures about how Sri Nam is non-different from Krishna himself, the potency of the holy name. But now we're going to get a sense of the incredible mercy of the holy name, how accessible he is, and the obstacles that are in our heart for chanting. Even though he's so easily available, there's something in the way. So let's hear what is said. The second verse that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wrote, Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tartarpita Niyamatak Smarane Nakala Etadrishi Tavakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaivam Idrasham Ihajani Nanuraga. I believe in most ISKCON temples they chant this every morning after Mangalarti. Very important, these 8 verses. Everything is in them. The condensed Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana Tattva that Mahaprabhu came to give, all of it is in these 8 verses. So, the translation here, O Bhagavan, your names bestow all auspiciousness upon the jivas. Therefore, for their benefit, you are eternally manifest as your innumerable names, such as Ram, Narayan, Krishna, Mukunda, Madhav, Govinda, and Damodar. You have invested those names with all the potencies of their respective forms. Out of your causeless mercy, you have not even imposed any restrictions on the remembrance of these names, as is the case with certain prayers and mantras that must be chanted at specific times, Sandhya Vandana. Right? In other words, the holy name of Bhagavan can be chanted and remembered at any time of the day or night. This is the arrangement you have made. O Prabhu, you have such causeless mercy upon the jivas. Nevertheless, due to my nam aparad, I am so unfortunate that no attachment for your holy name, which is so easily accessible and which bestows all good fortune, has awakened within me. So I'm going to read Srila Prabhupada's translation for this verse. His translation's very beautiful, very direct. He says, "O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to the living beings." That's important, alone. No other process, right? Remember we heard yesterday, Harinam, Harinam, Harinama, Eva Kevalam, the only way. Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gatyaranyata. In the Kali Yuga, no other way. Your holy name alone can render all benediction to the living beings. And thus, you have hundreds and millions of names, like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies, Shakti and Shaktiman, everything completely in that holy name. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Okay. So, in his commentary, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj explains, the innumerable people in this material world have many different kinds of desires. That's certainly so, is it not? Can't even count all the kinds of desires. What to speak of innumerable people, even me, I have many different kinds. What to speak of the sum total of material desires of all the people in this world. Even so, despite that, Bhagavan is supremely merciful and appears in this world in his as his different names to fulfill these various desires. All perfection is attained by Harinam, even if it is chanted while eating, drinking, sleeping, or moving about. Nor are place, time, rules, and so forth considerations while chanting. All of Bhagavan's potencies are invested in his names. This is going to be explained later about how you can chant anytime, any place, right? But also he's saying supremely merciful appears as different names to fulfill these various desires. He's just talking, obviously within those desires are material desires. So does the holy name come to fulfill them? Yes, in some forms. You can chant those names for material desires. That's an unfortunate misunderstanding, but most people see the Lord as order supplier. Even those who worship the Lord as the Father. What is the Father? Give me. Give me this day my daily bread. And that's not wrong to chant and to pray to the Lord for whatever is needed, but ultimately it's not the highest. The highest conception is very, very subtle, and it's very difficult to separate ourselves from our material desires, separate our conception of God as order supplier, right? Because this is our identity that we have been absorbed in for so long. So here he begins to explain that the holy names are of two kinds. Primary, mukhya, and secondary, guna. Guna comes from guna, right? Related to the modes of nature. Names related to the material world like Brahman, Paramatma, and Jagadish are secondary names. Primary names are also of two kinds. Those that are full of opulence, Aishvarya Pada, and those that are full of sweetness, Madhurya Pada. Names like Hari, Narayan, and Vasudev are full of opulence. And names like Krishna, Madan Mohan, Govinda, Gopinath, and Radharaman are full of sweetness. This is also discussed really nicely in Jaiva Dharma. If you haven't read Jaiva Dharma, you should definitely. Everything is there. But it's there in a very special way in the forms of conversations, questions and answers, the kinds of questions that we don't even know how to ask, penetrating, detailed, analytical questions. So that when it comes to discussing the idea of Aishwarya and Madhurya, that's given quite a bit of attention because there are very definite differences in those two conceptions of Bhagavan. Aishwarya means to be fully conversant, aware of the opulences and power of God that this Lord Narayan, this Krishna and Dwarka, this Lord Ram, this is God. He may, as in the case of Krishna and Dwarka and Ram, have very human-like form and pastimes and qualities. Nevertheless, he's God. And that will impede the limits of intimacy and affection. Whereas in Madhurya, in Vrindavan, that conception of Krishna as God does not exist. Even when they are exposed to so many extraordinary pastimes and displays of opulence. Opulence is there in Vrindavan, but it's completely covered by sweetness in Madhurya. So it never interferes with the feelings of love on a human-like level. Human-like, not human, not in any way. Names like Hari, Narayan, and Vasudev are full of opulence. And names like Krishna, Madan Mohan, Govinda, Gopinath, and Radharaman, again, Radharaman, we keep hearing this, Radharaman, yeah, very important, full of sweetness. From the names of Bhagavan that are related to this world, the secondary names, the Gona, right, one attains sense enjoyment, Bhoga, and liberation, moksha. And from Aishvaryapara names, one attains the Aishvarya Prem of Vaikuntha. And from Madhuryapara names, one attains, and from the Madhuryapara names, one attains Braja Prem. The sadhak chanting Harinam will take shelter of a specific name according to his own mood and will thus have his heart's desire fulfilled. It's very interesting, this Aishvarya Prem. Don't think that if you saw Lord Narayan and were fully aware of his godhood, that you still wouldn't be overwhelmed with joy and happiness and bliss. You certainly would. In the Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Sanatana Goswami, when Gopakumar finally gets to Vaikuntha after so many different experiences, he sees Lord Narayan there, and he's overwhelmed with joy. His joy is increasing at every level of his experience. And this exceeds all other happiness that he ever had. But after some time, because his nature, his internal identity, is a cowherd boy in Braj. And so the way in which he wants to relate with the Lord cannot be experienced in Vaikuntha. He can't relate with him intimately as a friend. There are only certain times when he goes to see him and serve him, right? Lakshmi has very strict control over his schedule. And sometimes he laments about that, and he feels very dissatisfied. But then when he sees the Lord again, for that time while he's in the presence, he becomes happy again. But still, that nagging sense of incompleteness is there, right? Which is pretty amazing when you consider. So, now we go to text 2. So we've heard about Mukhya names, right? The names of the Lord in Vaikuntha, including Braj. And Gona names, the names of the Lord that relate to his role in this material universe. Those names one can pray to for material benefit or liberation, but the Mukhya names, those are for spiritual relationship only. And those are divided into two also, Aishvarya and Madhurya. Right? Aishvarya mean worshiping the Lord with knowledge of his Bhagavata, and Madhurya worshiping him as a dear friend, or a son, or as a beloved. Right? So text 2. A prayer for attaining attachment for the holy name is given in the 5th verse of Namastika. Namastika is 8 verses compiled by Srila Rupa Goswami, glorifying the holy name. Agadamana Jashoda Nandano Nandasuno Kamala Nayana Gopi Chandra Vrindavanendra Pranata Karuna Krishna Vyatyaneka Sarupe Tvahi Mamarati Ruchayar Vadatim Namadeya. O Nam Bhagavan, possessor of inconceivable glories, may my affection for you continue to increase day and night. O Agadamana, O Jashodanandana, O Nanda Sunu, O Kamala Nayana, O Gopi Chandra, O Vrindavanendra, O Pranata Karuna, O Krishna. You have innumerable forms. May my attachment to them always increase. So this verse contains an awareness that Krishna has inconceivable glories, but what kind of glories is he speaking of? He's speaking about Krishna in Vrindavan. All these names are relating to Krishna in Vrindavan and his pastimes there. And this is going to be described in the purport by Srila Narayan Maharaj. He says, as the Raganuga Sadhak chants the holy name under the guidance of pure devotees, he prays to Nam Prabhu in great distress. O Nam Prabhu, please manifest in my heart, along with your pastimes that relate to each name. So does that mean we should not pray like that? No, we can also pray like that, so that we can come to Raganuga. We don't artificially pretend that we're on that platform, that the emotions and desires that we have are purified, but we're praying for that to awaken in our heart. And once again, we're going to find out what's preventing that, but that's going to come a little bit later. So, manifest in my heart, along with the pastimes that relate to each name. That's amazing, the pastimes. This is what happens with great devotees when they're chanting pastimes. I remember one time on a morning walk in New Braj, Badger, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj was there. And I've told this before, but it's relevant. On these morning walks, there were so many devotees there who could ever get a car would go on these walks with him. So it could easily be 100 people. And of course, these are people that have known each other for years, and now they're all coming together, and so they're very happy to see each other, and everybody's talking, right, catching up on the walk. Srila Narayan Maharaj is in the front of the line. He's chanting. He would stop time to time and then speak, answer questions, but while walking, he would be chanting. One time he stopped because everybody's just, just talking and talking. And he chastised everybody. He says, you have no idea where I am, what I am seeing, what I am doing, right? You're just talking and talking. And it was kind of startling. I appreciated it. So I separated myself from everybody. And when he's walking, I got right behind him. And I knew this was only, that wasn't the real meaning, but wherever he stepped, I put my foot there. Not that, and the idea of following in the footsteps, I knew that wasn't the real meaning of it, but it was an indication of my desire to follow in his real footsteps. Yes, you are walking in Vrindavan, right? You are there. You're seeing all of this while you're chanting your mantras. I also want to see that. So in this way, I am showing my desire to walk in your footsteps, right? So, what is he seeing? Agadamana. Quote, he who protected his friends by killing the demon Aga. The word Aga means sin, and Damana means to destroy. There's also another Kali Damana, right? Wherever you hear the word Damana, it means the destroyer of that. He destroys the sins in the hearts of the sadhak, making it pure. And then he himself comes to reside there. In relation to Madhurya Ras, Agadamana has another meaning. Quote, he whose darshan destroys the gopis' feelings of separation and thus bestows great joy upon them. So the names of Krishna, they're often translated in relationship to his Leela in Dwarka, in Mahabharata, like that, right? Puranic pastimes. But they also have meanings in Braj, right? So even my old name, it's also my ongoing name. This name Srila Prabhupada gave me before sannyas, Janardhan. In the Bhagavad Gita, it means the killer of the enemies, right? Destroyer. Arjuna is saying, oh, Janardhan, so destroyer of the enemies. Another meaning, though, is one who gives suffering to his devotees. And you think, what? How? Well, one way to look at that would be, yes, we get suffering so that we can renounce, right? It's sort of a gift. Hammer us with suffering so that we finally go, okay, I give up. I just want to surrender. But a deeper meaning, what kind of suffering? The suffering of separation that the gopis experience. Krishna gives that to them. And you think, oh, that's so cruel. But actually what he's giving them is the greatest happiness. In suffering and in separation, there's an extraordinarily special kind of meeting that comes in that, in the heart. The remembrance, the urgency of thinking of Krishna. They're always absorbed in his pastimes. When they're with him directly, there's one pastime. We're with him in this condition, in this situation. In separation, everything comes like a flood, and the urgency increases the love to such an extent. And then you would think, well, then why wouldn't we always want them to be in separation? Well, because the gopis love Krishna and they want to serve him directly. And so you don't want Radhika to be separated from Krishna, then who will do who will give him joy, right? Who will chastise him? Who will tease him? Who will defeat him in gambling? All these different, who will dance with him, right? Krishna also experiences the separation, but what it does is when they meet, then that meeting becomes so extraordinary, the happiness of that exceeds the happiness of their separation. So they feed each other, and then again separation, and even a higher level of pleasure, and again meeting. They're two parts of prem. They're both there, right? So he whose darshan destroys the gopis' feeling of separation and thus bestows great joy upon them. Aga Damana. So it could be one who destroys sin, one who destroys the snake, that's a pastime with the cowherd boys, or something very deep with the gopis. During the day, Sri Krishna Chandra goes to the forest, causing the Braja Sundaris to burn in the fire of separation from him. During the night, when he is in their midst, he makes their burning separation go far away, and he appears as pleasant as the cool moon as he sports in the pastimes of rasa with them. Thus he tastes Madhurya Prema Ras. Right? So then the name Yashodanandan means the son of Yashoda, yes? All the good qualities of Krishna's affectionate mother are also found in him. Therefore, one of his names is Yashoda Nandana. In the heart of the devotee, in Braj, they attribute good qualities of Krishna to his mother and his father. Oh, they have such good qualities, therefore he was born with them. But of course, from the position of tattva, his devotees have all the good qualities of Krishna, right? But this is very sweet. Mother Yashoda is so kind, so generous-hearted to everyone, and Krishna also. Yasho datati iti Jashoda. This means that Mother Yashoda is famous for her Vatsalya Bhav. The mood of this verse is, may the compassionate Yashodanandana, who possesses the same qualities as his mother, appear in my heart. Krishna likes it so much when we think of him and praise him by these names that show his connection and relationship with his devotees. It's a very sweet verse. Yasho Mati Nandana. Nanda Sunu, the son of Nanda. In the 8th chapter of the 10th canto, 46th verse, Maharaj Parikshit inquires, Nanda kim makarod brahman, shreya evam mahodayam, jashoda cha mahabhaga, papo jashastanam hari. What most auspicious activity did the very fortunate Nanda Baba perform? And what kind of austerity did the supremely fortunate Jashoda perform that Bhagavan himself drank her breast milk with his lotus mouth? What is that? To be the eternal mother and father in the most intimate way in Braj. You can't even begin to calculate that fortune. In this really nice book called Bhakti Rasayan, it's a series of lectures that Srila Narayan Maharaj gave about some of the verses that Sanatana Goswami had selected at the end of his Brihad Bhagavatamrita, which captured his moods. And those verses capture the moods of his meditation on the different devotees, like Mother Jashoda, like the cowherd boys, right? And in his commentary, Srila Narayan Maharaj says, I actually, to think of the love of Mother Jashoda, the extent of it, the height of it, I become fearful even to think of describing it. Right? It's so high. So by chanting this name of Krishna, the sadhak prays this name, right? Yashodanandan, Nandanandan. May the son of the supremely munificent and most fortunate Nanda Maharaj, Nandanandana Sri Krishna, shower his mercy upon me. Now here's another beautiful name, Kamala Nayana, lotus-eyed one, right? Kamala means the lotus, Nayana, the eyes. May Kamala Nayana Sri Krishna, whose half-closed eyes resemble a red lotus due to his nocturnal amorous pastimes with his beloved Brajadevis in the Nakunjas, manifest within my heart. So everyone sees him with lotus eyes, his cowherd boyfriends, his mother. But this, Rupa Goswami is thinking of that Kamala Nayana with the gopis. Gopi Chandra, the moon of the gopis. When Sri Krishna sees the rising full moon, remembrance of the moon-like faces of the Brajadevis awakens in his heart. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Ras Panchadaya, those 5 chapters describing the Rasa Leela, in the beginning, the conditions of Braj, by the agency of Yogamaya, become perfect for Rasa Leela. This is something that Krishna and the gopis have been waiting since they appeared on the planet, 8 years before. And which Krishna promised in the previous winter time, when the young gopis did the Katyayani Vrat. Afterwards he said, yes, very soon we will engage together in dancing in the moonlight. And then from that time, December, January, all the way until autumn, right? They were waiting. And both of their urgencies were increasing. Krishna's wanting this so much, the gopis wanting this so much. Finally, when their desire reached such a peak, Yogamaya arranged, and the conditions in Vrindavan became perfect. And the moon rose in the eastern horizon and reflected the rays of the setting sun, which were reddish, which reminded Krishna of the kumkum on his beloveds, right? And so many descriptions, the breezes, the aroma from the flowers, a very elaborate description, all awakening this desire for rasa. Gopi Chandra, the moon of the gopis. When Krishna sees the rising full moon, remembrance of the moon-like faces of the Braja Devis awakens in his heart. Vrindavanendra, the Lord of Vrindavan. This refers to he who makes the inhabitants of Vrindavan blissful by his unique quality of prema madhurya. Pranata Karuna, he who is merciful to the surrendered. Sri Krishna displays his mercy and compassion to those who are surrendered to him by making them taste his Charanamrita. Remembering the mercy Kaliyanag received when Krishna placed his lotus feet on Kaliya's heads, the gopis sing, Pranata Dehinam Papakarshanam, may your lotus feet destroy the past sins of all souls who surrender unto them. Then Krishna. The pastimes in Braj, yes, they're intimate pastimes, and Nitya Leela is there, the eternal pastimes of Krishna and his devotees, but also Naimittik Leela, which appear in this Brajabhumi, which are his taking birth as a baby, growing through different stages of life, and liberating different people in very sweet and marvelous ways, like Kaliya. Right? Krishna, this name is derived from the verbal root krish, meaning to attract. Krishna attracts everyone with his prema madhurya, and in this way bestows the bliss of divine love upon them. So whenever you're chanting, oh Krishna, you are the bestower of divine love, please make me qualified to taste that love, meaning tasting this desire to serve you and your beloveds selflessly, purely, right, unendingly. Devotees pray according to their transcendental sentiments. Thus Bhagavan appears to them according to their prayers and makes them joyful. The sadhak chants a specific name of Bhagavan to increase his attachment to Nam Prabhu. So that's the end of that purport. Right? So these are extraordinary insights. We're getting insights about the chanting of the holy name as experienced by the topmost devotees. Just a glimpse. They say over and over in their purports, we can't reveal everything. We're giving you something, though. And even this drop is so extraordinary, it can't but help increase our greed. Oh, and that reminded me of a similar statement that Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj one time made about his own chanting and about our lack of appreciation for that association and chanting. He said, I am standing, at the entrance to the courtyard of Sri Rupa Manjari, right? And chastising devotees for not trying to go deeper and understand this. Not that they're not sincere, but we have to get this, because we're always distracted by other things, Right? So anyway, we've just begun our journey into this second chapter, and we will continue more tomorrow. And with great gratitude to Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Sri Rupa Goswami, our Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and all the assembled devotees, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.